You know that feeling when the alarm goes off and your entire body just votes no before your brain even begins to load? You get up, you do things, you somehow get to work, you lead a meeting if you have to, you handle the pressure, you do it, but it feels like you're doing everything within your day with the handbrake on. Like your energy is on a delay, like on a lag on World of Warcraft. And the most frustrating part is that you can't even point to one obvious reason. You went to bed at a reasonable time, you're not partying midweek like you did when you were 22, you're trying, you are, but you are still so tired. Well, today I want to talk about why you may be waking up tired and how to fix it in a way that actually suits a busy life, a leadership role, and yes, a household where tiny little humans have zero respect for your own sleep goals. Welcome back to Build a Resilient Team. I am Bart Walsh, your coach, a keynote speaker, and relatably an often tired person. And honestly, thank you for listening today. If you've just found us, welcome. If you've been here for a while, welcome even more. Thank you for coming on the journey. I'm actually feeling quite overwhelmed with the feedback and growth that we're getting from this little project. And look, if I'm honest with you, I started this podcast in hopes to challenge my speaking chops and to simply create a bit more of a digital presence for my keynote speaking, but it seems to be turning into a little bit more than that, and that is all because of you listening, so thank you. Lovey-dovey stuff out of the way. This is going to be a cracking episode. This one is for anyone who's ambitious, who's responsible, who's showing up for others and quietly running on fumes, running on empty. It is time to give you your energy back. And if you are waking up tired, it doesn't just mess with your morning, it follows you into meetings, into parenting, into training, into your life, into the way you speak to people that you love. And when you care about your performance, your leadership, and the way that you show up at work and at home, that tiredness becomes expensive. So today we're going to unpack why this may happen and what actually moves the needle in fixing it. Nothing weird, I promise. Nothing unrealistic. Stuff that works for busy people with full calendars and real responsibilities. Alrightio, I want to start as usual with a quick little story. There's a particular type of tired that hits different when you are a parent, a type of tired that hits you in the face as soon as that little bundle of joy comes home. Not the I trained hard sort of tired, not the big week at work sort of tired. It's that foggy tired where you wake up and your brain is already doing admin. Before the feet hit the floor, you're negotiating breakfast, you're remembering the daycare stuff, you're trying to be patient. And of course, as always, as everyone is telling you, trying to be present because this time goes so quickly. Meanwhile, your inbox is already throwing punches and you're meant to step into the day where you need to be calm, where you need to be sharp, decisive, and positive. And it's hard. I remember a morning not too long ago where one of my kids woke up a bit earlier than usual. And look, it's nothing dramatic, just the usual little footsteps up the hallway and a voice that's somehow loud and adorable at the same time. And if you're a parent, you know how precious that 30 minutes before the kids wake up is. And so I got up, I did the dad thing, I somehow made it to work. A little bit of guilt left me at the door. And then later that day, I'm in a conversation where I need to be a leader, where I need to speak well, where I need to listen properly, and where I need to respond with maturity. And I struggled. I could really feel it. My tolerance was a lot lower. My attention was scattered. And my patience, it was thin, not in a lose it sort of way, more like everything took more effort than it should sort of way, all because of that morning, or because of that start. And that's the bit people miss. Waking up tired doesn't only make you sleepy, it messes with your leadership, it messes with your parenting, it messes with your goals, it messes with your endeavors. And if it happens to you every single day, there's a compounding interest there. Your decision-making might get sloppy, your emotional control, it costs more, and you start reacting instead of responding. You become, less you, I suppose. And so I don't want this episode to be about becoming the perfect sleeper. This isn't that episode. I'm pretty sure we've done a number of those already. This episode is about getting your energy back so your performance isn't being taxed all day by something that you barely notice. So let us zoom in on the reasons this might happen, because waking up tired usually doesn't mean one big villain. It's a death by 1,000 paper cuts, a death by 1,000 paper cuts over 1,000 days. And none of them feel dramatic on their own, but together, all of these little reasons, they steal your edge, they steal a bit of you. And the first one is your circadian rhythm is irregular. Big word alert, circadian rhythm. Most people focus on bedtime, which is understandable. But I have found that the body cares more about your wake-up time than the time you go to bed, because the wake-up time will influence your going to sleep time. When your wake time swings around, your system doesn't really lock into a rhythm, which it really loves. And that shows up as that I slept but I feel undercooked feeling. And this is common if you're up early during the week and then try and catch up on the weekends, try and catch up on that sleep. Or you stay up late for that beautiful, blissful me time because the day was chaos, or the kids wake up randomly and you end up sleeping in wherever you can. And I get it. It's easier said than done. And I have that realization a lot on this podcast. That quiet time at night, it feels like freedom. It feels like you time. It's often the only time nobody needs anything from you. But the trade-off is that you wake up flat. Then you spend the next day trying to buy back the energy with caffeine, with willpower. And performance-wise, inconsistent rhythm on sleeping and waking up often feels like brain fog. Just that feeling of your brain is under this cloud, it's going slower than usual. It shows up as needing 2 coffees just to become a functioning adult. And I know for a lot of you 2 is actually quite conservative. I met a bloke the other day and he has, no joke, 9 coffees in his day. 9. Unbelievable. This tiredness also shows up as slower decision-making, slower speech, like you're always trying to search for a word and you're saying more ums, saying more ahs. This tiredness shows up as less patience, less emotional range for the people around you, where one small inconvenience can push you over that cliff. I'm sure a lot of you can relate to these reasons, all because our circadian rhythm, our wake and sleep cycle might be just a little bit off. And remember, this cycle, this rhythm is always in flux. It's not a thing that magically resets at a certain day. We always have to keep that rhythm to keep our body happy. The second reason why you might be feeling tired in the morning is that caffeine is technically doing its job, but it's doing its job far too well. Look, caffeine is useful. It's awesome, but it's also very sneaky and it's utterly powerful. I think we forget that sometimes. I've said this ad nauseum, but I think if we discovered caffeine today, it would be considered a performance-enhancing drug. It has that much of an effect on us. And with caffeine, it's not only about whether you fall asleep or not, the amount that you have. You can fall asleep with caffeine in your system. People do it every day. The issue is what happens inside that sleep that you get. If caffeine is still floating around, you might spend less time in those deeper stages that actually restore your body. And then you wake up tired. And then you reach for more caffeine. And then that beautiful cycle begins again and again and again. And leadership roles at work make this even worse because you have to be on all day. There are some jobs where you need to constantly be on. I used to be a personal trainer. Still am, but I was on the floor every single day, and with every client that you have to be on. You have to be there, you have to be present, you have to be with them. So caffeine, in a way, became a necessity to manage that energy and to make sure every client, every person was getting the best part of you that they could. In other occupations, meetings, managing people, problem solving, holding your tone, staying strong, staying calm when everything's falling around, making decision after decision, coffee can become a coping tool, and that is normal. And this is not all to say you should stop drinking that beautiful brown elixir. Please do not. It's to say that it just needs boundaries. It's powerful, and with great power comes great responsibility. The third thing that might be waking you up tired is alcohol. It changes the way we sleep altogether. A drink can make you drowsy. Yep, It might even help you fall asleep. Yep. Then later that night, sleep becomes more fragmented. And that's when you get that 2 a.m. wake up and your mind hosts a conference with everything you've ever worried about. Right then, right there. And if you've ever woken up exhausted after a couple of drinks and thought, how am I tired? I had a complete 8 to 10 hours. That's the difference between sleep and recovery. Alcohol affects us in more ways than we think. The fourth reason is just pure excess stimulation in this beautiful modern world that we live in. Your nervous system never gets an off-ramp. It never turns off. And this is a big one for the high performers out there and the parents, my sisters, my brethren. If the last hour of your day is emails, scrolling, news, high stimulation content, chocolate, a late night snack, a show, and then straight to bed, your body doesn't downshift. You've basically stayed in day mode and then asked your system to magically become a recovery machine and shift into night mode immediately on a pinpoint. Leadership, parenting, social media, even just working a normal, typical job uses a lot of emotional regulation. And when you don't downshift, that regulation becomes expensive the next day. You'll still show up, you will, absolutely. You'll still get it done somehow, but your everyday activities, they just cost you more energy to do. It's this slow energy deficit, month over month, year over year, that is the insidious road to burnout. The fifth reason why you might be feeling tired is that your bedroom is set up like a mild self-sabotage zone. And look, this sounds boring. I talk about sleep a lot, I know, but boring is where the winds are. It's where they live. Too warm in your bedroom when you go to sleep is a huge one. Your body needs to cool slightly before drifting into sleep. A warm room can mean that you sleep, yes, but it's lighter and more restless than it would be if you were in a cooler one. And look, light, it matters too. The lights in your room, the artificial ones, but the lights coming in through your windows as well. Even small light sources, little standby lights on a TV or a computer, they can tell your brain that morning is coming, which then affects your sleep depth and the beautiful richness of these different stages of sleep. And not to mention noise, an obvious one. You might not fully wake up if there's a noise, but your sleep gets disrupted. And you wake up tired with no obvious reason because it's a little bit noisy, because it's a little bit warm, and there's a few artificial lights in your room. Team, these are easy fixes. They're right in front of you. And before I move on to the sixth reason why you might be waking up tired, you probably understood already now, but there are so many things. There's so many reasons why you could be tired all throughout your day. We're just hitting some big nuggets here, some big boxes, but we're not even talking about chronic health issues. We're not even talking about your training. We're not necessarily talking about your nutrition as well. So understand that even though we're hitting some big topics here, some big boulders, the reason why you may be tired probably will be far beyond what some nuffy on a podcast can tell you. But these points are a really great place to start. The sixth reason is that stress isn't just mental, it is indeed physical. It's all related. Our body is this beautifully integrated system. If you're responsible for people, results, family, or performance at work, stress becomes normal, it becomes default. And stress is a full body state. It's not just in your head. A lot of high performers are trained to anticipate problems. What could go wrong? What needs to be fixed? Who needs what? What could we forget to not achieve our goal? And look, these anticipatory questions might make you very effective during your day and probably make you a ninja at your job, but at bedtime, it becomes rumination, it becomes overthinking. So if your mind won't shut up at night, that doesn't mean you lack discipline. It means you've trained your brain to be productive. And it's doing that job at the worst possible time. Seventh reason, your body clock is guessing because you're missing morning light. Again, boring topics here, I know, team, but they work. Trust me, morning light is a strong reset signal. It helps your system know when to be awake and when to start getting sleepy later. If your mornings are indoors every single day under artificial light straight into screens, that signal is weak. And then people end up tired in the morning, but oddly wired at night. Tired but wired, I know I can relate to that. It's a classic pattern. And one more thing, one more reason that deserves a fun, beautiful name is revenge bedtime. You finally get to the end of the day and you want time that belongs to you, so you stay up later for that slice of peace. It feels like self-care. It does. Sometimes, it is, but sometimes it's self-sabotage disguised as recovery time. Team, there are a number of reasons why you might be tired. And if you relate to all of these, let's look at ways that we might be able to fix this. The practical stuff. Small changes, but with a big return. Fix number 1, light before information. As early as you can, get outside light into your eyeballs. 2 minutes is enough to matter. 5 to 10 is even better. This is your day has started signal. It helps you set your internal clock so later on your system knows when to downshift, when to release those sleep hormones. Most people start their day with information, with notifications, with emails, with headlines, with social media, social feeds, and that's a stress response before your spine has even stood upright. So the swap is pretty simple. Light first, information second. For all the parents out there, here are some parent-friendly options. Take the bins out and stand in the driveway for a minute, direct sunlight. When you have your coffee in the morning, stand in the backyard. Take your time. School drop-off, just stand outside for 2 minutes once those kids leave the car. Even pacing the driveway when your son negotiates with his shoes to get on his feet, there's your answer. There's a gap, there's an opportunity. And for the leaders out there, here is a benefit for you. If you do this light thing in the morning, you start less reactive. You set the tone instead of your phone setting it for you. Fix number 2 is to put a fence around caffeine. Let's build a boundary together. We do not need to be a monk. You can keep your coffee, but I just want you to be intentional. I want you to choose a caffeine cutoff time that matches your bedtime. For a lot of people, early afternoon works. Even earlier in the morning, I think, is better. And here's the honest bit. If you're craving caffeine later, pause and ask, am I tired, bored, stressed, or underfed? Because sometimes all what you really need is water, a short walk, a bit of nourishing food, 10 slow breaths before you take the next call at work, a break from staring at your screen. That could be the remedy for you. Caffeine is a performance tool. It's a performance enhancer. So I want you to be responsible and I want you to treat it like one. And fix number 3 is the 60-second close your loops. If you've been listening to my presentations or this podcast for a while, you would have heard me talk about this before. This is the fastest way I know to reduce that 2 a.m. thought spiral or to just downshift your stress levels. Get your notes app out or grab a notebook. Take 1 minute, 60 seconds, that's it. And I want you to write. What's bouncing around your head? What's the first step that you'll take tomorrow or in an hour to fix that thought? And that last one really matters. Your brain relaxes when it knows that there is a plan, that you've thought about it. We can carry problems because it feels responsible and we feel like we need to be a weird martyr in our and other people's lives, but carrying around problems into bed does not make you more responsible. It makes you less rested. And tired leadership, tired life leadership, work leadership is harder leadership. Fix number 4 is a 90-second downshift cue. I want you to pick a tiny routine that signals sleep is next. Shower and then lower the lights. Stretch, my favorite, whilst brushing your teeth. 90 seconds of slow breathing, a few pages of a book that's interesting and not necessarily stimulating. The goal isn't relaxation perfection. The goal is a consistent cue that your body will learn. And fix number 5, temperature and friction. If you wake up hot and restless or like you've been in a low-grade wrestle all night, I want you to test this. Is the room cool? Is my bedding light? Is there a fan? Is there airflow? Simple tweaks like this can change your entire night and, if I dare say so myself, your entire life. And then I want you to reduce morning friction as well. I want you to have your water ready before you go to bed. I want you to have your clothes ready. I want you to have your coffee set up ready. Have your AeroPress out, ready to put the Supreme coffee into. Leaders do this at work all the time. We all do this in our life all the time. We remove friction so performance becomes easier. It's the same idea, but just in a different arena. So let me zoom out for just a second, team. When you wake up tired, the cost shows up everywhere. You become less patient with your partner, more reactive with your kids. You make decisions faster, not necessarily better. You lose that calm presence that makes you trust people. Great leadership, ultimate success, life fulfillment. They all have a hidden ingredient. It's capacity. Capacity to pause. Capacity to listen. Capacity to respond well when it would be easier to snap, avoid, or bulldoze. Sleep doesn't guarantee great leadership or success in life, obviously. Plenty of people sleep 8 hours and still act like a menace to society. But poor sleep makes good leadership harder. It makes success harder. It makes fulfillment harder. It makes everything harder than it needs to be. So if you've been feeling flat, foggy, edgy, unmotivated, unproductive, you name the word, don't spiral into self-judgment. I want you to look at your recovery. I want you to look at your environment. I want you to look at what you're rehearsing at night. I want you to look at the signal you're giving your body in the morning. That is where the leverage is. My name is Bart Walsh. This is the Built Resilient podcast. I know I have been talking about sleep quite a bit lately, but it's all for a very good reason. The reason you are listening to this show, the better life, the higher salary, the better mental health, whatever it may be, this can be achieved faster if we inhabit a body that recovers and adapts. And that only happens when we sleep well and are intentional about the small, boring habits that we do day in, day out. Next episode, team, we're going to talk about curating your environment for success. Not motivation, not hype, your entire environment. The stuff around you that quietly decides how you show up in this reality. This episode that you just listened to is closely related to the content in the next one, so do not miss it. It will drop 6 a.m. Monday morning Brisbane time as always. And team, if this hits home with you, I want you to share this with someone who's wanting more but sleeping badly. You'll be doing them a massive favor and may even be changing their life. Thank you as always for listening, and remember to choose resilience.